心情就是比较开心吧，也没有特别激动，因为也不是第一次进决赛了吧。然后进了春决就意味着我们今年努力没有白费，可以再拼一把。我觉得 TES 的优势就是对线都打得比较好，然后都比较能操作，比较敢打。我们的优势是我们对线也打得挺好的，但是我们在打团和运营方面做的应该比他们好。
Zoom reckons their strengths are in the macro and the team fights, and I mean, I don't know, that was back and forth in that game. I would say that JDG edged out the macro and the team fights, but it was a close one. I'm much more. This is Dagda. We're going to be bringing a bit of analysis to your faces over the next few minutes. Dagda, what happened there? Because that game, I mean, it was chaotic for the first 20 minutes, then nothing for another 20 minutes, and then chaos again.
So I actually really like the way, well, let's start from the beginnings, because this was a little bit messy. So when I looked at the draft here to begin with, I was like, okay, cool. When I look at top esports, winning top side of the map, winning bot side of the map, they should be able to set up for the pressure from Karsa to try and contain this mid lane, because that was the big issue for them, was if Yigao could get rolling. And that ended up being exactly what happened. We saw Yigao get out, plays towards top side, sets up Zoom, and that was literally what we called for on the desk, was having Yigao working with Kanavi and with Zoom towards this top side of the map. Yeah. What I didn't expect was Loken and Lumeo to take over the bottom lane. Kill after kill, putting on pressure, and it meant that what was supposed to be a winning bot side for them was actually just wins across the board for JDG.
I honestly felt like JackeyLove struggled on the Misfortune this game because Lumao looked amazing on his Thresh. I'm glad to see him off the Yuumi on something that he can have a bit more agency, and Loken on this Aphelios got so fed, did so much damage, and I love this play, especially just flashing forward to make sure that they get both of the kills.
Then you get the win on the top side of the map as well for JDG. Zoom and Yigao, the Dumpling Brothers domination continued in this game. But then we saw Top Esports respond. Top Esports made a brilliant play where they picked up the Rift Herald, and using that mid meant that you end up with this long lane for Yigao where he was constantly being shoved in, couldn't get the pressure off, and again Top Esports asserted their dominance on the map. Through those neutral objectives of Rift Herald and Dragon, I really thought they were going to get the ball rolling. Me and you were sitting behind there going, look, well, might as well get ourselves rolling for this fourth game to finish and to crown Top Esports our champions. But then we see it happen once again. The over-aggression from Top Esports at these plays, and it felt like that's again what JDG have opted for. To wait for Top Esports to make these mistakes where they'll go for a bit more of these scaling compositions, and that's where they find their success.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way, and Top Esports lost control of it during that mid-game. They lost control of the lead, or I guess lead is too strong of a word. It was very close in the early
massive
game.
200 goal lead they found themselves
running away with things for sure. But it was JDG that managed to wrestle control in the end. And across some of these fights, I mean, the fights were back and forth, and it was down to minute plays on both sides. I mean, we saw Karsa stepping up a couple of times, but we also saw Karsa throwing things away a couple of times. I feel like I've been saying this all series, that Karsa, he's had incredibly high highs, but pretty low lows as well.
Well, we can have a look at one of those fights at the Dragon Pit, because I felt like this was really one that defined this game as a JDG win, because they were starting to struggle, but it's very difficult for Top Esports to operate in these fights when they're playing this protect the president style. And at that Dragon fight, we're going to see in your screens here, look at how many flanking positions you have. You've got Kanavi, who's able to go in on one end. He's able to steal away the likes of the Orin ult, Knight's ultimate in these fights to try and put pressure into JackeyLove. You've then got Yigao, who's playing towards the bottom side of the fight, and it makes it so difficult for JackeyLove to try and set up in these scenarios. And then when I start to go forward and I'm like, okay, cool, well, Kanavi's playing towards the back line trying to get onto JackeyLove. Yigao is as well. And then you've still got to try and deal with the cannon barrage from Zoom. It really felt like this one-man damage that Lyric highlighted on the cast wasn't able to properly set up and carry these fights as consistently. And then to add insult to injury, Loken, against his own team, was picking up everything on the map.
Yeah, I mean, in all of these fights, it was Loken that was sweeping up a lot of the kills alongside Yigao as well. But, I mean, you mentioned it during there. This one-threat composition coming out from Top Esports. The Lissandra, they've played it twice in this series. It's lost twice in this series. The LeBlanc looking amazing so far, and I just feel like they need more damage. They need Knight to be able to do a little bit more, and you could see multiple times. Knight tried to get solo kills. Knight tried to make these plays, but he's on Lysandra, so he doesn't do any damage, so he can't finish the kill.
And it's interesting to see, because what I'm looking at here for the draft is Top Esports have opted for Knight to go towards the Silas previously against this LeBlanc pick. It is something that does really well, and the trade pattern will again neutralize this lane. You're not going to win a Silas, but definitely neutralize it, and then you can have bigger impact in this fight, and especially when you're looking to steal away some of these champions that Kanavi's found success on, the Kindred, and then the Silas is his next most played. I felt like that could have been a great pick here. Then you set up for stealing away some of these key ultimates on the other side, where you can have this control as this Silas, but unfortunately it just never came through. Opt for the Lysandra, and the mid-game power that they wanted to run off the back of just never came around.
Yeah, and I believe we have a replay of the final fight of that game as well, because we just saw one dragon fight. The following dragon fight 5 minutes later was what sealed the deal for JDG. Karsa comes in from the side, gets the steal, but it's at the cost of everything.
But this is the thing. Now you're not opting into this front-to-back style the Top would have preferred to go for. Instead, you're spread out all over the place. Loken's on one end, Yagao's on another, Kanavi's in the back line, and Top Esports have no way of continuing the fight forward because you don't have this setup for Jackie Love. He's not able to set up for these bullet times to deal the damage that you want. And again, Top Esports struggle in the fights. And it comes back to what Zoom was saying there on our opening pieces. He feels like they had the better team fights. Well, this game definitely showed it.
Yeah, I mean, Lu Mao especially in this game, because we saw the CC set up there, but he's able to follow up. He finds Jackie Love in the fight, and as soon as Jackie Love's gone, as we mentioned before, it's a single damage composition. If you can't get the bullet time off during the fight, fight's already over at that stage. So the Mountain Soul wasn't enough. The Nexus went down only just, I have to say. There was a scrap for the Nexus. Knight did his best.
He definitely did, and everyone on Top Esports tried their best to stop that, but unfortunately it was too little too late. And it does feel like, obviously going to a game 5, I'm going to say this, but the way that these games are going, it's on a knife's edge, and it feels like it's oftentimes coming down to JDG taking a risk on these later game scaling compositions, where if Top Esports can get ahead and start to snowball, well, JDG just doesn't stand a chance, but they are taking the risk every single game going, no, we don't think you can run away with this. We don't think you've got this mid-game transformation that can really take this game into your hands and find yourselves as the victors. It's worked twice.
I mean, it's worked 50% of the time so far. 50% of the time it works every time. But our MVP for game number 4 is going to be Loken. And I mean, he looked amazing this game. And what I loved from him this game was his lack of fear. He was so willing to just flash forwards and force these kills in the fights.
Not even in the fights, in the damn bottom lane.
Yeah.
This didn't even start when they hit the
2v2.
team fights. It was in the 2v2. It was Loken and Lu Mao having dominance in the bottom side of the map, and that is not something that we very much expected, especially up against Jackie Love. But this is again another pattern where JDG can look to exploit, get control of that bottom side, and especially when Loken on this Aphelios has looked so incredibly strong throughout this series. I'm surprised to see him get his hands on it again.
To be honest, I'm just glad that we got an MVP that wasn't a mid laner, because we had Yagao, then we had Knight twice. I was expecting it to just be mid lane back and forth, and that would have been a pretty reasonable expectation, honestly, going into this series. But as we head on towards the 5th game in this series, Dagda, we've got Silver Scrapes on, we're warming up, we're ready to get into the games. What are we expecting out of the draft here? Because Karsa, he's not down and out just yet, even in game 5. These guys are excited.
I mean, look, in the last draft, we saw 4 bans targeted towards Knight. JDG have put a target on this guy. They want to make sure Knight is not having fun, and exactly the reason we are seeing him tend towards these more control magey styles. And now, though, I want to see if Knight can have that pop-off performance, if we can see him take it to a new lease. But unfortunately for him, he's just had no opportunities in this series so far. And I wouldn't be surprised to see JDG continue this trend. Maybe Top Esports, though, can go for something a little bit more opening for 369. He's been the carry top laner for so long, or at least one of the strongest carry top laners in the LPL. Loves the likes of his Vladimirs. We've seen him on these Jaces, and maybe that's the style that Top Esports want to fall back to when Knight has been so heavily targeted by JDG.
I'm kind of surprised that we still see Chocho for this entire series stepping on forwards. Yuyanjo was the expected support coming on in, but Top clearly deciding that Chocho is the way forward. This guy is the shining light for them in the support role. And as you rightly mentioned, up towards the top side, 369, he's looked great this series. if it gets through the bans, I'd love to see him on Aatrox once again, because when we did see that this series, he looked unstoppable.
And that's why he's undefeated on this champion. That's 9 games undefeated. And there's so many champions that are undefeated here. We still haven't seen the Kalista coming out for Loken, which was also undefeated. Yagao still retaining his record with some incredible performances. This draft leaves so much up in the air, and I cannot wait to push us to game 5.
JDG as a roster here were undefeated coming into the final, but no longer. There could be more undefeated streaks ruined. It's time to get into game number 5 as we head over to our casters.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the caster stage. I'm Asterix, this is Lyric, and it is a pleasure to take you through a Game 5 Grand Final here in the LPL. We haven't had a Game 5 Grand Final since RNG and IG in 2018 summer.
Yeah, it's been quite a long time, and you know, even ignoring the fact that it is a Game 5, the game quality themselves, this series is delivering. We're seeing tons of action, we're seeing some macro moves, like everything is there.
But also that individual response that you mentioned before we cut to break, where it's that one person who steps up. It's the move, like Lumao's hook at the end as well, with Caster trying to steal the dragon at the same time. We're moving into a pick and ban, where draft has been a hot topic in this series. So what gets let through? Like an answer, Game 5 question for you. No LeBlanc for Yagao.
Going into this draft, the one thing I want to see, ignoring bans, ignoring first picks, put Knight on a big damage dealer, right? Their 2 wins was him on Corki and him on Victor. Him on champions that can really take over a game, and he's been the one on the side of TS really putting up those big numbers.
But do we pick that first? Because at this point, Aphelios, okay, still open here. Jackie has adored this champion.
I was going to say, you definitely don't pick a mid laner first, but the Aphelios is a good pick. Again, both AD carries have looked great on it, showing why it is such a hot pick. And moving over to the other side, we do see Kalista ban, Varus ban, so Misfortune just the next expected pick. And now the question for JDG is, Ornn is open. Zoom loves that champion. Do you want to go for that? Or maybe even picking up the set, something else you can play, but something that can be flexed into the support position
like
as
we
well.
saw in Game 1, right? It was the MF, it was the set in the early rotation on the red side. And Top Esports, they're the ones who've chosen blue. So for JDG, it's going to be impactful to see what comes next. The priority on a support here seems a bit uncharacteristic.
I'd say it's pretty strange picking, if you do end up locking that in early. I think taking the set, which is flexible. Even Kanavi's been playing set in solo queue in the jungle role, so
Lumao
having a lot of
plays
versatility.
support as well.
Or just taking the Ornn, which, again, this is what you would expect out of JDG.
Yeah, okay, zoom back into comfort, even though the GP facilitates that role as well. But now for Top Esports, do you want to see Knight's champion pool early on before we get to the second ban phase?
I think you're fine still waiting for 4 or 5, right? Knight is a champion Ocean. This guy can play absolutely anything. So picking up support here would be good. The Braum is the expected answer because, again, you have Bullet Time, you have Call of the Forge God. Braum does such a good job at denying both of those things.
We know that Yumi's been the response to that, though.
That is true, and does pair pretty well with Misfortune in the laning phase. And this time around on the side of JDG, you have Engage, right? Last time we saw the Yumi come out, there was no Engage. Don't need to worry about it. Zoom's on the Ornn.
So now that we got the Braum, what do you put on Caster? He's favored the least in throughout this series. We've seen a Trundle as well.
I like this, though.
Olaf?
If you go with it, you have a very strong level 1. Karsa himself has looked good on this champion before, but Hysterics. I'm a big fan of just early rotation in your jungle, but whatever. They take the Ornn. You're undefeated on the Aatrox. 369 looked absolutely amazing on it, so why not?
Don't you remember that when we came into this series, it was about those big 3 champions. It was Ygal's LeBlanc, Loken's Kalista, and 369's Aatrox. And Aatrox coming here in Game 5 for 369, still undefeated as you mentioned. Let's move forward because Kanavi has gone for the early rotation jungle himself.
This is actually very different, right? We don't typically see JDG early rotation their jungle unless it is something like the Trundle. And even though Kanavi has played the Rek'Sai 6 times, this kind of early game champion that needs to gank to be relevant isn't something you associate with Kanavi.
No, you think about Kanavi going through the jungle and you see him, you know, once or twice, but that's about it. So with Kanavi, early proactivity and activity itself, we're going to see what the other solo lane is, what the support is to pair up with it too. Because we're starting to ban away mid laners here from JDG. Knight isn't going to get the Corki like you want.
Like, JDG are signaling that they want to pick the Azir, but it just seems too obvious. I feel like there needs to be some kind of shenanigans going on here.
Sometimes the easiest answer is the simplest one. Now, you're going to lose the Yumi at the same time. Now, Caster not going to get the Gragas to accompany this composition, but that does mean the Olaf they looked at earlier is still open.
That's true. But what I want to see here is where does JDG go if they want to just take their solo lane here. But I guess picking support does make a lot more sense when Top have shown their support themselves. You can go for something like the Thresh if you want, which doesn't necessarily do anything into the Braum, but you do have the Lantern for safety for the Misfortune. But we get to see it Game 5, Lumao's Bard.
Lumao's Bard is iconic here with this support. If you don't watch the LPL, the best Bard in the league is 150% Lumao. It used to be Dwan back in the day, but no longer. It is all about Lumao, the roaming support.
And I love it because, again, you have a lot of priority in that Braum lane. You can bully him out easily. You can constantly leave with a tunnel. Moving over to the other side, I love this from Top Esports. We get to a Game 5, and you know what they say? We're going all in on late game team fighting.
We're going to put Kasa on a Sejuani. Does that mean the Silence fits in here nicely?
Yeah, you do. He is a melee champion, so he is able to proc that passive. You already have a lot of AD damage coming out, obviously, in the Aatrox and the Ophelio, so I like this. Very scrappy comp, scales very well, and in Game 5s where the pressure does start getting to, it does get tense. You want things that can do well in the later stages of the game.
And Night Silas has been exceptional here this split as well. I will talk about that in a second. I need to know what JDG decide Yagao wants to try and win on in Game 5.
Yagao needs to show us something new because typically he does stick to this LeBlanc, Azir, Syndra type champions, and we do get something new coming out from him.
Is it a Casa win? That's my question for you, Lyric. How does this set up in the draft that JDG have given us?
It's very interesting because, again, Kassadin with Rek'Sai. This is not a combo you'd think of. Rek'Sai wants to be ganking early on, wants to get in these lanes, and you have a tank in the top lane, you have something that needs to hyper scale in mid, you have a roaming support that wants to leave lane, so you have a bunch of moving parts that don't come together too well, but in the later stages, he will still be a menace.
I will say, for Yagao through the regular season, he hasn't played this.
No.
This is not a Yagao champion. We talk about the Azirs. We talk about things like the LeBlanc,
the Zoe,
Syndra,
exactly.
Zoe, Lucian, that's right. It's a Game 5, and Yagao says, let me just pull out this hidden Kassadin that I have under my belt.
And he's going to scale quite well, but Silas still going to do very well in that lane.
That's true.
And putting Knight on something that has priority and proactivity in the laning phase, always a scary thing.
Plus, remember, he can steal the Kassadin ult as well. So the ability to do the same flanking maneuvers are there. But Lyric, we're heading into a Game 5. I have to say, thank you to the gods of League of Legends. Because JDG and Top Esports, not only were they not expected to be in this position in the finals, they weren't expected to go to all 5. It was the JDG predictions here that I saw that across the fan base of the LPL, a lot of favoritism towards JDG. Top Esports showed up earlier in the series, and only now have JDG started to strike back.
Well, it's also like you said that even people have been predicting Top Esports, it's always been 3-1, something along these lines. You didn't see a lot of people expecting this to go to the distance, and the fact that it has and it has delivered, and now in the final game, we see both teams changing it up, right? TS going towards this complete, like, scaling late game team fighting. They've drafted a Sejuani.
Yeah.
Like, this sort of style is completely different. JDG, again, the composition's a bit all over the place, but you have the scaling. You have early game pressure jungler coming in from Kanavi. You have some Wombo combo as well. Gonna be interesting.
Interesting, a great word to go into this one. Game 5, folks. We're going to hear from the fans before we jump onto Summoner's Rift.
Zoom 加油，期待你继续你的100%胜率。
Ladies and gentlemen, the Silver Scrapes takes you onto the Rift. Here in the LPL, it has been a full year since the last best of 5 has gone the distance between IG and RNG. But here it's a pleasure to take you into the very last game of the season. The Top Esports JDG Grand Final ends here with one brand new champion picking up the Champions Cup.
I really like what TS are doing right now if they do want to look for a late invade. You have a Braum, insanely strong level 1. Knight as well on the Silas, of course, at E. Gonna do so much work. You have a lot of champions that don't do anything level 1 on the side of JDG with the Kassadin and the Rek'Sai.
That's very, very true. So the invade begins here. 369 joining up, but there is going to be a war that spots them out. There's 4 members. Here it comes.
So they're going to go in. I do expect JDG to just trade sides as well. They shouldn't commit to contesting TS for this invade. And now, again, you feel pretty safe in the bot lane if you are Braum and Aphelios. Not a lot of dive threat coming in early on.
True. So is the answer here for Kanavi to match and mirror the map swap, I guess, for junglers? Are we going to be seeing the vertical jungling as an absolute?
This, I like
Never
this a
mind.
lot. We've seen Silas be picked up in the top lane against Ornn many, many times. And of course, Aatrox's going to do wonders into the Caston match. If you're an AD champion, his Q shield does nothing. You're so lane dominant. So TS actually having 2 hard winning lanes.
And Casa between both.
On the side of JDG though, Ornn does have trading power early in this matchup, like the first few levels. Won't be until, you know, first back levels 5 and 6 where Knight really becomes favored, but still, I'm a big fan of the swap coming out from TS, and you're gonna have so much pressure in the mid lane.
Okay. Well, we'll be watching to see what JDG do about it at this point, because I think tracking jungles here with the lane swap is going to be really important, right? Loken and Lumao going in for a bit of invade themselves, while Casa resets the map, going for his red buff, while Loken and Lumao looking for information.
Kanavi going for it, and Knight's in a bad position.
Yeah, he's going to have to flash here. The tunnel system used to get into position here. Abscond into the abduct, but teleport coming through. Knight wants to waste time, but through the mid lane, Yagao not there in time, or maybe is. The silence stops the TP, and Knight now left in a 1 versus 2. Good night, dear Knight. Because it's burst blood over to Kanavi while we look towards the bottom side. Castle wants to make a response. Lumao blocked from going through the magical journey. Just in time, yes it is. And JDG win out.
That was so massive coming up from JDG on both sides of the map. Actually, all 3 lanes, Yagao with the silence, Kanavi with the expected gank towards top. You know, Kanavi loves to give Zoom a little bit of attention in the early game, and then Lumao doing just enough to survive. First blood from JDG.
And who cares if you get favorable lanes when you get first blood towards the jungler and help out your top lane on. So for JDG, a brilliant start for the game 1, or rather game 5 here. Grand final.
Ooh, and TES setting up this dive. Again, Bard is a very squishy champion. This is very easy to execute.
Also has Aftershock, remember. Sejuani can do this.
Not feeling comfortable. Maybe they don't know exactly where Kanavi is.
Next time then. Caster's going to go back towards top side. He's still got blue to clear. As junglers kind of reiterate their messy pathing that we saw before. Looks like Kanavi will be heading towards the bottom side.
Kanavi heading bot. That is where his camps are starting to respawn, as we just saw with Gromp. And right now, TS's bot lane is still pushed out if you do want to look for that. And of course, not only your tunnels, but you have increased gank options with that magical journey coming out from Lumao. So a lot of options there. And typically, that is the lane I'd say you want to start in, even if you want to look mid, just roaming with Lumao to put some pressure on the 369.
Close here for the Infernal Chains. If you're looking at 369 here for pressure, at the moment he does have it individually. But for Yagao, he's doing pretty well in this lane. After cancelling the TP, that one's going to be down for quite a while. Yagao uses his to get back to lane, and is keeping up with CS so far.
And this is going to be great for Zoom. Pushes in the wave, going to bounce back. Karsa not going to be able to find an easy gank window.
Yep.
Dragon going to be spawning soon, and that's where my eyes are going to turn, because Karsa's going to be the one having pressure in the mid lane from 369, but in bot lane, JDG are going to be the ones having it with Lumao and Loki.
Kanavi's the one to invade first of all. Casa over the wall with an Arctic Assault. Kanavi is just going to be backing away. Now, bottom side, with that push coming through, we're not looking there. We're looking top again, because Knight is behind 10 CS and Zoom is just punching him.
Especially with Knight dying earlier on. We've already stated that Ornn does pretty well in these early trades.
Oh, not if he turns it around. Knight doesn't have much mana though. For Zoom running away. Chain Lash there, spins once, looking for twice, but Knight so down! And Zoom gets the solo kill in game 5.
Zoom doing so well. I'm going to confidently say it. Best top laner in the world. JDG game 5 with the early game lead. I don't want to be a bit ominous, but the one game JDG did have the early game lead wasn't a victory.
And Zoom in a game 5 situation, let's not forget again, 2019 spring. Have a bit of flashback here, even though it is the Ornn. But he gets the solo kill in lane. He's 20 CS up, and the wave crashing is ginormous.
Yeah, Knight going to miss out on some CS here, but Zoom just doing a great job in this trade. Things looked really good for Knight. Hits the E, but now you're walking into more than a full wave of minions and just overstepping a little bit. taking those 2 turret shots, and things looking great for Zoom, living that high society life that we know for.
Yeah, fine dining experience in the top lane. Kanavi now waiting because Knight is 0-2. Knight has been the core element for top esports throughout it all. And he's now getting punished, bullied around here in this top lane.
Ooh, the thing I like, though, is we see Karsa waiting in the wings. Actually, he's taking his Gromp, but still is here just in case Kanavi looks for something.
I don't know if Kanavi spotted him out with the Tremor Senses. That's going to be key. As Knight does hit level 6, means he gets called the forward god, but Zoom has his own as well. Scott Duck used a little bit early, he gets knocked on up, double knock up here. Knight steals the Rek'Sai ultimate, Kanavi waiting, and dead again. 0-3. JDG are winning this top side.
Kanavi showing so many new layers, picking up Rek'Sai, a champion that needs to gank early on. Late game, you become useless because you can only go in. You're squishy, there's no getting out, you're committed, you need an advantage, and he's making damn sure he finds that advantage here.
Zoom picked up 2 bits of turret plating, Lyric. This Ornn is huge, and Kanavi come back to the point. He's 2-0. This Warrior's Rek'Sai is going to be big as well.
Ignore the Rek'Sai for a second, Hysterics,
Okay.
and remember, coming into this game, we said Knight needs to be the big carry for this team. Knight's 0-3-0. Knight's not doing anything this game.
And now, I'm not going to ignore the Rek'Sai because he's mid. World End is going to be used here. Karsa coming in, nice glacial presence, predicts your gal, but he will get away. Now for JDG, can they? Kanavi get healed, but underneath the turret, Top Esports can't go too far forward. A nice play from Top Esports, but they don't get anything bar a couple flashes.
Still great overall coming out ahead. 369 did blow flash himself, but getting 2 flashes from JDG. Lumao as well having to blow his heal, and now you're the ones to pick up the Herald. And Knight, luckily not having to follow up, just picking up CS in the top lane, trying to get back in the game.
Because at this point, for Top Esports, you just need something. The way this early game's gone, you need something, and the Herald could be enough to turn the momentum, turn the play, at least somewhat in their favor.
Especially because for late game, Top Esports have a very good coherent comp, just sticks together very well. You have a lot of peeling options with Karsa and Chocho. For JDG, Yagao cannot just jump in by himself.
Yep.
He will still get popped despite being on the Kassadin. You really need Lumao to stay up with a good Tempered Fate or Zoom with a great call of the Forge God, because Kanavi's going to fall off massively, won't even be a champion, and of course Aphelios will outskill the Misfortune.
Especially when we look at what could stop Yagao and call the Forge God to be stolen away. Could be exactly that. More on that later, because Rift Herald has dropped down in the mid lane. Jackie Love, a bit too much on the turret shot there, but he's near mid at the right time. That means gold distributed over to this Aphelios AD carry.
Sadly, Bard is not level 6 yet. Cannot save that play. But things feeling good for TES. You pick up a lot of plate gold. Gold is about even, you're 1K behind, but relative to how these comps scale,
Okay.
I'd say that's even for TES.
Okay. Wow. That's surprising because, again, early game, as a viewer, I would look at this and say, holy moly, a Top Esports out before this game even gets towards 10 minutes, right?
One thing that's for sure is Knight is shut out of this game so far, right?
Okay.
He's 0-3-0. He will not be able to kill Zoom. Oh god, let's say for the next 35 minutes. We see the item Zoom is picked up, and Knight is a non-factor. So what we want to see from JDG is how they bring this Ornn pressure around the map, or if they just want to keep committing to diving Knight.
Yep.
Still take that first turret and then start moving Zoom around the map, which is something Zoom is amazing at.
Especially if Kanavi, at least if we go back to that lane, Kanavi on top of Knight right now, who has no armor, will just get shredded by the Warriors Rek'Sai. So the potential's still definitely there. Kanavi has been hovering towards the top side, clearing his camps for a while now. While we look towards the other jungler in Karsa, who is actually 20 CS up, but that's because he's been farming, shadowing, trying to get there and help out Knight in a couple of these instances.
It's actually really interesting how we have our lane set up as a 1-3-1 right now,
At 10
with
minutes, yeah.
without a turret even going down yet.
Very true. And it was after the Rift Herald play as well, like it was after the fact.
And they, right, it's like they didn't stay here, like they chose to recommit to these lanes. 369's still gonna have a great time up against that Kassadin at this point. Of course, there are no neutrals up, but JDG feeling fine in this position, knowing, hey, as long as we can keep the wave pushed into mid, well, they can't do anything to play around 369 in the side lane.
Okay, so favorable in a way for JDG, because there has been a lot of chaos within lanes. The earlier lane swap and now the lane positioning is mentioned with someone like Yagao. 369, by the way, pulling up a bit of turret plating in the meantime, which is actually going to be turned into 2 for this Aatrox mid.
I really want to see if JDG can come up with any like smart, creative plays with the magical journey, because again, you bring Lumao, you bring Kanavi bot.
Like that. Here he is.
That's a bot, but that wasn't that creative. He just kind of went in, auto-attacked a minion, but on the side of JDG, you should already consider this turret down. Because the minute TES say, well, whatever, we don't care about sides for like 2 seconds, they could bring 4 or 5 members mid and they'll knock that down easily. So for JDG, that mid lane turret is really just a luxury at this point.
At the very least, might be able to stop something in the bottom lane. There was a setup there from Karsa around 369, who is still about 12, 15. He'll get to that point. Let's say 12 for now. CS ahead of Yagao. This Ornn is angry and taking it out on the turret top side against no contention right now. I'm afraid of what Zoom's going to do in these fights.
And we have Dragon coming up in a minute 30 seconds, so probably not going to be able to get this turret down in time, but even if you do end up walking away and walking towards that Dragon, you know, so what? As long as your team secures that objective, it's fine. What I want to see is, does TS contest, or do they just say, hey, whatever, it's only second Dragon, we'd rather just keep getting gold on the Knight and get him to a point where, again, he is actually part of this game, get a few more items on the Aphelios, really wants to hit that 3-item power spike. Even Sejuani, right? You want to get her a bit tankier and more durable before you really start hard contesting these 5v5s.
Because if we look at this next Dragon, the potential now for Sol is either Cloud or what do we got on the board? Or we got Ocean. Oh god, not Ocean. So at this point, if top esports let those 2 Dragons go, potential to stack up the 4 Clouds is there, the 4 Oceans, as we've mentioned in previous games. More importantly, JDG are 2 Dragons closer towards getting a Sol that could really close out this series and give them their first ever championship.
The great thing for TS going into this next Dragon and, you know, for the championship is the fact that they do keep having Karsa hover towards mid, so they're just naturally picking up this mid pressure, and JDG's mid turret, we've already spoken about, pretty much already down, so going to be great that TS can either just keep Vision first, try to find a pick, or elongate the time that JDG can take this objective.
Vision you mentioned was right here in front of them. Yagao able to clear it away before backing away himself. Now 369 has been the quiet achiever here in the meanwhile. This Aatrox quite large and in charge himself. There's the Cosmic Fate coming through. Or sorry, the Tempered Fate. Jackie escapes that one with the TP coming through from Knight, but remember, Knight pretty irrelevant even with the Proto Belt. Top esports get river control. JDG back away, but now re-engage.
And now TS need to commit to doing something. Knight wasted his TP, Zoom didn't. JDG can still just choose to posture, walk away, and then come back with Zoom's TP in hand.
You saw Jackie actually cleared out the midway. So gets the push there. They're going to be spotted out through mid. Kanavi, yeah, Tremor Sense comes through. So that'll just be Dragon here for top esports. The spawn, question mark. What is it going to be? Oh, okay. An Ocean Soul for game 5.
Ornn with Ocean Soul once again, but I'd say pretty surprising that JDG chose to just give that over for free instead of opting to go towards the top side, pick up this turret. And you would expect them to get Vision for this Herald first, but JDG not the team we know for taking Herald.
No, definitely not. First turret picked up, by the way, while 369 now matches with his original lane opponent. The first turret of the game at 15 minutes is very delayed for the way this game felt.
Very delayed, but moving on from turrets to other objectives, I really want to see JDG force this Dragon. 369 still in the bot lane. You have TP advantage on Zoom, but we see them taking it too slow, giving TS enough time for 369 to rotate over if he wants, but actually just going to take Krugs. I'm wrong.
Okay. So you want to see them towards Herald.
Exactly.
Okay.
TP advantage, that's the key words here.
In my throat, Carson now positioning towards the mid lane. Vision pretty much obtained here by JDG. They're all up towards the river. Look how Zoom with the TP in the back pocket is always important to note as well. Begins. And this time, JDG do want it.
TS can't contest this. We see that Knight just made his way towards the red buff. Looks like he was just kind of shadowing over towards bot side. 369, of course, doesn't have the TP, so is going to be a pretty easy objective take for JDG.
Okay, but what do they do with it? Because there are quite a lot of turrets on the map. We got mid, we got bot. And for JDG, they're on the outskirts of a bit of a gold lead with 300 in their back pocket, but for Kanavi, he's got a caster, and that would, I'm sure, love a bit of this gold.
True, but for JDG, I'd say you could even just wait and use it towards the bottom half of the map, open up the side lanes more, because, again, we will get to a point where no one will be able to deal with Yagao in sides, and with TS controlling mid so well, it's going to be really hard for JDG to find an opportunity to drop that mid.
Maybe this one presents itself. 369 over the wall. Zoom very, very tanky. Knight comes in for the engage. It's just the blue buff for now. To pull in Zoom, no, Bellows Breath denies that one away. For top Esports, they didn't force anything there. They just took the blue and went.
Still getting an objective in a sense, right? Taking enemy blue buff is a very good pickup for TES.
Yep.
And now just defaulting back towards controlling mid-wave. No neutral objectives up for TES to take. Now it's all about, does JDG look to open up the sides with that Rift Herald?
Kanavi was posturing towards the bottom lane. Zoom is here with the shove as well. In fact, the dive, a potential world ender, is available, of course. Here comes the searing charge into the ultimate. As 369 survives that, now for Lumao coming in underneath turret to block the damage. Searing charge does find its mark this time, and Zoom finds a kill. A good dive here for JDG with no response from top Esports.
Was a bit confusing to where we saw Lumao and Kanavi heading towards the mid lane first. You wonder why they didn't just come straight away. But still, JDG able to pick up the kill is a massive win. Like you just said, TS, there's no objective they could respond with on the map. The Knight is probably just very happy that he's going to get some minion waves uncontested.
Yeah, I think Knight would be super happy about that one. But the team has left Zoom. Top Esports are coming down here, and Lyric, Zoom may be tanky, but against these three people, especially Jackulov, where's he gonna go?
He's dead.
He's definitely dead.
He's going to the gray, gray screen hysterics.
The gray screen.
We see that Loken is topside.
Netted a shutdown onto an Ophelia. Jackulov set up. Now, Rift Herald put down the mid lane. Out of top Esports is one of this, because this one just feels like it's gone as well.
Yeah, I would assume the Herald just finishes it off. Nope, okay, well,
unlucky.
Like 76 HP, that's what I'm sticking with.
75, not bad.
Oh, wow.
No, sir. You are wasted as a caster.
I'm just saying, World Championship attendee playing coach.
Oh, okay, all right. So name drop that in front of everyone. That's absolutely fine, sir. Make me feel like dirt, but that's cool. Game 5 has come to this point where, yes, we're not as bloody as especially our Game 4, but we are building up towards that conclusion. It's so fitting for this series.
We've had a lot of action, though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we continuously see them posturing in front of each other, and sure, kills aren't picked up in the end. But we definitely see, you know, some summoner spells and champion abilities traded back and forth.
Especially towards, you know, Zoom in the bottom lane we saw before. It was a kill and netted itself, but we also see the setup that comes through these teams, and more importantly, the setup for the Dragon. And specific blood coming your way, because top Esports, they do have control over this. Yagawa's TP is up on the top side, but JDG have just reset and are on their way.
Once again, no one has the ability to kill Zoom on the side of TS at this point if it is a straight up 5v5, but once again, JDG are late to the objective.
Yeah.
And ooh, maybe not.
Well, TP is going to come through. That's Yagao. He has a speed boost as well with level 2 Realm Warp into the pit, into the back. Yagao jumps on in. It is secured by top Esports, but that's a 4-man ultimate. The Tempered Fate nets Kanavi over the wall with a 3-man call, the Forge God. The reverse used from Knight, and he finds it onto the backline, onto 3. Jackulov now enabled with Gravitum. Gets a lockdown, but Zoom is so tanky. Yagao wants to find the re-engage into the backline. He's onto Chocho, but exhausted down. Jackulov gets him off his support, and top Esports find the first one of the fight. 5 versus 4. Zoom is dead. That's the tank. They need to leave.
Top Esports with the old reliable 3 melee champions, actually 4 melee champions, in a late game scaling Aphelios coming out ahead in these front-to-back team fights. And are they actually bold enough to do this?
I mean, they know Kanavi is so low, he either had to back or he's got to check this one. They begin the Baron. It's all or nothing.
I've had a lot of bad memories of Barons in this series so far. Kanavi does have Smite up.
For championship point, Kanavi needs to steal this now because it's at 4K. Going fast. Top Esports in the pit. The poke from Loken in position. He's outside. Runs on in. Loken's cleaning them up while Yagao is set up as well. TP in front. Baron has a reset. Top Esports with a flash from 369. Kanavi finally joins the fight. This Aatrox is big though. Can JDG clean him up? Knight to go golden. Kanavi low. And Yagao jumps on as well. But this Aatrox who's sat in the side lane, 369 wants to take them all on. Zoom rejoins after coming in with a TP, and both teams disengage. but you can see the angle that they're playing towards.
Hysterics, what is going on? Baron counters the LPL teams.
Apparently.
Like, it's just a complete mess around this objective. TS feeling bold enough to start, and we saw how that panned out. JDG keeping it competitive.
We started with Zoom versus 369, and we could end with that after we saw a bit of an explosion here.
Once again, great individual performances coming out. Loken and Yagao going in, creating a bit of chaos. And here we see Luma as well playing well. Knight not really having much damage, but still able to pick up Loken. This is where everything gets a bit messy. Yagao still in there, Kanavi still in there, Knight having that Zanyas. They aren't able to find the kill, and Yagao just being all over the place, able to get out. And once again, no one is killing this Ornn. He is so tanky. Just look at his items. No one can touch this man.
No one can touch him, but 369 is a 2-item Aatrox that doesn't quite die either. So at this point in the game, we're at a point where gold is pretty much even, but a couple of K, excuse me, for JDG. We got an Ocean Dragon coming up. Number 3 for Top Esports, number 2 for JDG. And the Baron still sits there after a very ambitious attempt from Top Esports to try and take it away. There's the Tempered Fate once again, blocked on up. The bullet time comes through, Jackie Love comes out of stasis. Now for the re-engage, teleport coming through. They want this championship point, and onto Zoom, can they find it? The Bella's Breath is there, but onto Yagao. Now the attention turns once again. Slowed on down, stunned on up. Onto Yagao, the ultimate misses from Karsa. Yagao thinking about the re-engage once again. Top Esports group is 5 mid. Push JDG back.
Tempered Fate looks so good coming out from Lumao, but that Braum pick doing so much work blocking the call of the Forge God, and then JDG just having to get out of there, having no real follow-up engage. Still, TS not able to find any picks on the back end, but trying to bait JDG into thinking.
But they found Lumao, they found Lumao with the Graviton ulti. Jackie Love sends it out, and Knight finishes the kill.
World champion showing up clutch in Game 5. Sadly, no Dragon up. They don't feel confident to go towards the Baron, but can they force more under this turret?
It'll be about Zoom, this tanky Ornn to push them away. He jumps on in, Yagao off the side as well. 3-man knockout while Jackie Love gets low. At half health, they turn onto Yagao though. Golden is he, or the re-engage comes through. 369 with the World Ender again. They find the knockup, and JDG are sent packing. 3 versus 5. Low health fast for Top Esports, but they do the job yet again.
It's still 2 picks is so massive for the side of Top Esports. You're going to be able to recall, buy more items, get vision set up first for this Dragon, and then we're going to be on soul points.
And suddenly, I have to say, Knight, who was 0 and 3, suddenly has 3 kills and a bounty. He's now back in this game, and you can see how relevant Top Esports are here for the next fight. That's the second time in a row that they look pretty dangerous within this 5 vs 5 realm. After
that first 5 minutes, there's no way you could have told me that Knight would be sitting here with a bounty almost at his 3rd item. You're the team with the Aphelios. You have constant threat on the Baron, but let's see how this started. Lumao going for the recall, and like you said, it's all about Jackie Love here with that ultimate locking him down. Knight and the rest of TS all following up, and it looked great.
Brain versus Broad. And Lumao didn't have the brain in that situation, but boy did Top Esports bring their brawn. We're right in front of the Dragon, the 3rd Ocean, rather 2nd. 3rd Dragon, at least for Top Esports on the menu.
Front-to-back teamfights favor the side of Top Esports.
And they know it. They've found Yagao. He doesn't have Zonyas from the last play. Has to flash away as well. Stolen ulti from Knight as a constant. Fate jumps onto 4. The bullet time set up. 2-man knock-up here. Onto Jackie Love, onto 369. Can they find it? Because JDG may have found the miracle with Lumao's ulti. And that's exactly that. All of a sudden, back in the driver's seat.
JDG do it. They combo the ultimate so perfectly. Kanavi finds a way onto Jackie Love. Yagao getting in there as well. And you talked about Lumao. They're able to pick up a Baron.
Right into the middle. JDG now simmer into the Baron pit. This is theirs. No one up to contest. And the swing goes back. The Colonel unsure what the heck is going on for a good reason. The Game 5 held onto by JDG and might even be the winning fight.
Hysterics for JDG. They need to execute their comp so perfectly. You need a great Tempered Fate shutting members out. You need exactly. You need Yagao and Kanavi to get right on top of Jackie Love. These are such small windows, but they do it so perfectly. TS are the ones to start this fight. They know, they feel confident saying, hey, we win the front-to-back team fight. We see Karsa jumping and finding the engage onto Yagao, but he's able to get away. Look at Kanavi, but look at Lumao with that Bard ultimate. so massive, gives time for Yagao to get onto JackeyLove. Kanavi's there as well, and without that damage dealer from TES, JDG just clean up.
And they pick up the Baron after the play. Now sitting in front of the Ocean Dragon. Top Esports still want to contest. 5 versus 5 yet again. Knight steals the call. The Forge God away. Zoom doesn't have his own. Advantage is there as Yagal's forced out of the back of the pit.
But Yagao's in a great position. He's trying to put flank pressure onto JackeyLove so he can't kill the front line of JDG.
Chocho wants to check this one away. A ward dropped on down in Yagal's spot, but the Ocean Dragon gone before it comes through. Kasa can't get the steal. The engage comes through, and for JDG, this might be okay. Knight finds a 2-man knock up here. The Tempered Fate again locks down Kasa and JackeyLove. They're ready to jump in. JDG erupt on top of Esports. This is Kasa getting knocked up as well. And once again, Lumao says, "This is my championship. It's all mine."
Game 5 Bard showing in clutch. Lumao finding the perfect Tempered Fates. And JDG don't care if it's a hard to execute comp. They get it done.
They got Baron. They've got long death timers on the side of Top Esports now. At this point, can the game end? I don't think so. But JDG with yet another big fight
They're
and a
pinging
massive
it,
gold lead,
Hysterics.
they want to do it.
Yeah, the pings are coming out. They want to push forward. Again, death timers are up in 10 seconds. I don't think they have the damage.
From the brink of despair, this is history being made. JDG have fought against all odds to rise to this throne. They leave a trail of their enemies behind them. They will now pick up the crown as the last defense comes through. All they have to do is hit the Nexus, and they've done it. The new king to the LPL. All hail JDG, your 2020 spring champions.
I don't even have words for this moment. That was absolutely insane coming out from JDG. Oh.
Out of nothing, JDG erupt, and Lumao is the best damn support in the LPL. Lumao set that up, and the beauty of his bar carries them over the finish line.
And Loken taking down his former team. I'm so happy for them. Big congratulations over to JD Gaming.
You can see Lumao, he's very tearful. As congratulations go out to JD Gaming.
After 5 games, final winner is JD Gaming. Congratulations to them again. Regrets in 2019. Finally, it's returned into the victory, the sweetness of victory in 2020. JDG proves how strong they are through today's Battle Fights. Here's the golden ring in the venue. Although there's no audience in the venue cheering for them, but I believe there are so many of you are sitting in front of the monitors to cheer for them. And please step forward.
我相信此时此刻，我们京东的5位队员心里也一定有很多的话想跟大家分享。我们跟5位简单来聊一下。首先，站在我旁边的绿毛，绿毛和 Loken 是京东舰队开始最早的队员，一路走过来，经历了很多。此时此刻拿到这个 LPL 的冠军，有什么样的感受跟大家来分享的
？Any feelings right now to share with?
很开心
I'm so
在
excited.
赛前的采访当中绿毛也说到，赢了之后要给大家唱
So
王
in the
菲。
pre-game
今天要不要借
interview,
这样的一个时候给大
you
家来唱
promised
两
that
句？
you will sing the Ronnie with
下次
to all the
还
fans.
是很优
Can
雅
you
的。
sing
这
a
次
little
先
bit?
唱，下次再说
Maybe
好
next
不好
time.
我们大家可以也期待一下。接下来站在我旁
Okay,
边
then
的
we're looking
腹
forward
部
to
公
it.
爵今天也是拿到了
And
LPL
Zoom,
联赛
my lord,
对于自己来说的第一个冠军，很开心。
is
有什么
your
样的感受
first
跟大家来
LPL
分享一下
trophy.
的？
Any feelings right now?
打职业这么多年了，就终
I've
于
been
能拿到一个 LPL
playing
冠
as
军，就
a
非常
pro
激
player
动
for
吧
so
然后
many
就
years.
很感谢队友们这么给力。
非
I'm
常激动，
so
这个时候要不要
happy,
跟
so
屏幕
excited
前
to
另一
get my
端所有的观众
trophy.
一起隔空举杯
And
庆祝一下，
also,
好不
I'm
好？
really, really grateful
对
to my
，Cheers！
teammates
举杯庆
for
祝一下，
being
这个
so
胜
strong
利
and
属于京
so
东。
carried.
接下来问一下我们的牙膏，今天跟 Knight 平相
Next
第一
we'll
中
go
单的
to
竞争
Yaga，
也是大家非常关注的，拿下了 LPL 的冠军，有什么话想跟大家分享？
So how do you feel for getting the champion
我也很开心，
of
很激
today's
动，很开
match?
心。的确，我
Very
们胜
happy,
利
very
属于
excited.
京东。那在这个时候要进入到我们的颁奖时刻，我们要有请到我们的颁奖嘉宾腾讯剧联席 CEO 金一波先生上台，为我们的京东战队颁发奖金牌。有请
Co-CEOs Bobby Jin.
好，可以把我们的奖金牌颁给我们的牙膏，有牙膏代为领取。好，可以一起来合
And
影。
this is the 2020 LPL Spring Final Champion prize money awarded by Bobby Jin, co-CEO of Esports.
一同气灯下这样一个胜利时刻。
Memorize this
好
very
了
meaningful，
那么
moment.
接下来继续我们的颁奖，我们接下来要颁发出的是这个赛季总决赛的 FMVP， 究竟是谁可以拿到这个奖项？我相信屏幕前的你都有自己的选择。那在这里，
Everyone will
我们要
have
恭
your
喜
own
的是
choice, but the prize
绿毛，
goes
恭
to
喜绿毛获得
Lumao.
总决赛的 FMVP。
Congratulations to be the 2020 LPL Spring Final MVP.
来为绿毛
Please
颁奖。
welcome the co-CEOs of PK
作
Esports,
为队伍的
Leo
指
Lin.
挥兼核心，绿毛一路走来，凭借着自己出色的指挥和发挥，也是称得上这样的一个 FMVP 的称号。
Lumao is
可以一起来合
definitely
影。
the one for FMVP for his extremely intelligent and
对，
perfect
把我们的
performance
银龙杯也可以一起来
throughout the split.
举起来。好了，感谢我们的两位颁奖嘉宾，请到台下稍事休息。谢谢
And
两位
thank
辛苦了。
thank you
我们
for
绿毛
the
拿到这
rewarding
样的一个
guest.
FMVP， 我觉得也要让绿毛再来讲两句，因为一路走来非常的不容易，
Mr.
有很多
FMVP
粉丝也一直在支持着京东。
I
此时
believe
此
that
刻
you
有什
still
么样的
have
话
some
想跟支
feelings
持
in
你
the
们的
bottom
粉
of
丝
your
说？
heart. So any words for your fans that keep
一直以来
supporting for you?
感谢一直对我们支持的粉丝，然后
I'm very
去年
grateful
丢的脸，我们今天一定要
for the
拿回来。
fans that keep
赢下
supporting us.
如果有幸进入世界赛，我们一定会为 LPL 争光的。
I'll win. I'll try my best to win all the upcoming events, and if there is the world, so we'll definitely try our best to win the world, to win the best. And back to you guys. Thank you.
接下来让我们把时间交给评论席。
Huge congratulations to JD Gaming. They're going to take the trophy in the end. And Lumao, I'm so happy for Lumao. He's been the veteran of this squad. He's been here for years. Finally comes through and gets the MVP as well. And so deserved.
On his Bard as well.
Yeah.
That's what the beauty of this moment was. Lumao has been so flexible in his champion pool, known for the fiddlesticks, but this split has stepped up massively on the Bard. 2 MVP performances already for him, and now adding that third on a well-deserved Game 5. That was incredible.
It was absolutely beautiful to watch. It was the pick that they beat IG with in the regular split, and that, I think, was the game that got people's eyes looking at this squad, and they have not stopped since. And then, feels like the perfect pick to round out the split with as well, win things out. His Thresh as well looked amazing earlier on in this series. And I'm glad that we got to see a full 5 games. I'm glad that we got to see JDG come out on top in the end. And I'm so happy for especially the bot lane, but the Dumpling Brothers, Kanavi, this whole squad. I think the amount of work and the amount of emotion you could see out of them on the stage there, this win means so much.
Of course it does. I mean, this is the first time that this team has managed to pick up the LPL Championship. They have been so close time and time again. Summer 2018, they make it to the 3rd place spot. Then you look at Spring 2019, they lose to IG in the finals in a 3-0 sweep. But then today, they come up once again against Jackie Love, and they manage to find the victory.
So let's talk a little bit about the game here, because that was a 27-minute, 28-minute win with a Kassadin on the squad. You'd expect this one to go a lot longer, but Loken's damage during these fights, his positioning was magnificent.
Well, I want to even go back further, because the way JDG started this game off was so incredible. So at the beginning, Karsa paths from red buff to red buff to try and secure himself a 3 buff start. But Kanavi does a really smart job of opting into going for a gank topside instead. So when you've got this slow clear on Sejuani, there's no way she can get back up towards that top side. So this sets up that first gank that we saw. And then after that, because the double TPs have been used, well, you can't commit to any sort of play on the bottom side of the map then, which is what Top Esports tried to answer for.
Yeah, really, really great stuff from JDG throughout that entire game. And you can see on the goal graph, it was actually very, very close between the two teams until those final fights. But let's take a look at the moment that JDG really started to find themselves advantages. It was that fateful dragon fight. And it was only a singular pick, but it led to the Baron.
Yeah, and this was the most messy game 5 that I've seen in a while. And it starts with this play where you see, okay, cool. So this is a fight that goes in favor of Top Esports. They do a really good job of baiting in the engage from Kanavi and Yagao before Zoom gets that big call the Forge God out. And this is why Jackie Love is free firing from the back line. You've got Knight who's able to get into position to threaten onto Loken as well. So Top win the fight, but then here again we see JDG fighting back. The Barons in this series have been so crucial in defining it. But they do manage to pick off Jackie Love, the key source of damage for Top Esports in this composition. And from there, JDG are able to clean up.
And the crazy thing is, like, JDG wins this fight overall, but because of 369 on this Aatrox, it doesn't even feel like a convincing fight for JDG. Like, they did win out when you mathematically figure it out. But off the back of that skirmish, both teams kind of have to step back and take a second to figure out where to go next, because both teams were firing on all cylinders. But the following Baron fight, because we had plenty more Baron fights, went a lot more convincingly towards JDG, because that was where they finally just started to find these 5v5s.
Yeah, and that was the big issue here was off of the early game advantages, like at the 15-minute mark, we had 1,000 gold lead over in favor of JDG. And as you said, when they're running the Kassadin, if they're ahead at that point, they're going to look splendid. So by the time we get to those later game fights, this Kassadin has already started rolling. Miguel's getting into brilliant positioning across the board, and that's where they're able to pick up these team fights. And as you said, we're looking towards that mid lane fight. That was where it all started to kind of go a little bit topsy-turvy for them, though.
Yeah, and it was all about Lumao once again. His Bard comes through, gets a beautiful Tempered Fates, followed up by the Call of the Forge God. And what it means is that Jackie Love is left alone. Rek'Sai can get onto him, Casting can get onto him. We've got a replay of that now.
Watch Kanavi here, though, because he's the orchestrator for all of this. Forces Jackie Love into these awkward positions. Everyone on Top Esports is like, crap, we need to get back. We need to help out here. So Lumao gets the brilliant Bard ultimate that sets it all up. And from that point, JDG, they've swung everything in their favor. They're winning the team fights. The confidence is there. And it leads to this fight at Dragon with Zoom in front, leading the charge. And again, the Bard ult from downtown to seal the fate of Top Esports.
These fights just... It's not even just fight wins, right? These are brutal wins in favor of JDG, just dominating Top Esports. And after the fights had been so close the entire series, we had these brawls between the two teams. And with Top being 2-1 3 games into the series, for JDG to come back and win Game 5 in such commanding fashion is honestly, it's just awe-inspiring.
And it was beautiful to see from JDG because they knew where they needed to play. It was the late game. They didn't try to contest Top at these early stages where we talked about how strong they were in lane, how good they could transition to the mid game. It was that late game where everyone on JDG said, we'll hang on, we'll put our hunkers down, we're going to delay ourselves and take over where it matters most and win this series.
And take over, they did. It was a 5-game series, but JDG take it in the end. And we have a very special interview planned for you guys as well. I'm going to kick it over to Iris with one of our champions.
Thank you, guys. This is Iris for the interview with Zoom, the new king of 2020 LPL Spring. Thank you, Zoom, for joining us. And the first question will be congratulations for lifting your first LPL trophy, and you're the new king of our new era. So I know you're super excited right now, and I'm really curious about what was the first sentence that you said to your teammates after the Nexus exploded. 首先，恭喜你捧起了你的第一座 LPL 冠军奖杯，我知道你现在肯定也很开心，也很激动。但是我还是非常好奇，在水晶爆炸的之后，你跟你队友说的第一句话是什么？
第一句话说的是打得好，打得好，然后大家都辛苦了。
Well, the first sentence, good job, everybody. We did a good job. So people were really, really looking forward to this series, intense series between you two teams. So have you ever expected or like predicted the scores of today's best of 5 before? 今天其实是大家非常期待的一场 BO5，所以在来之前有没有预测过自己期待一下今天的这个比分呢？
自己最期待的肯定是3-0嘛，然后也有想过会打满5局，因为大家的实力都比较相近。
So definitely, I've predicted before. I wish it could be a 3-0, but you know the two teams are very, very strong too. So I predict that there will be a 5 games today. So well, thanks to these gentlemen that we had 5 games to watch in the finals. And the next question will be, Top Esports actually made a comeback after losing in the first game, and even got 1 point ahead after the third game. So what kind of feedbacks you had before getting into this deciding game? 其实滔博是在输掉第一局之后连追2场，那你们在进入到决胜局之前是进行了什么样的反馈去稳住心态呢？
因为我们前面4局打完2-2的话，其实对我们是有优势的，因为第5局很考验选手的心态，然后我们都是比较稳重的队伍嘛，所以说我们心态要比对面好一点。
So actually, we got the advantages because after the 2-2 because we are playing really consistent. So it might be a little bit favored for us to take down the last game. So you played back and forth in this best of 5. Everyone just screaming so loud for you guys. So did you feel like you already took down the championship after you locked down the Bard in the last game? 这场 BO5 打是有来有回嘛，所有人都在，无论是什么团战都会为你们尖叫。那你可以现在老实跟我讲，因为你已经赢下来了，所以可不可以老实跟我讲说，最后一局锁下巴德的时候，你觉得你半只手已经碰上那个冠军奖杯了？
因为巴德也是我们辅助的一个绝活嘛，然后对面阵容都比较笨，而且都是近战，所以说巴德就比较好能开到对面，所以说打起团来我们是有优势的。
So, as everyone knows, Bard is a significant champion of our support Lu Mao. And to be honest, the enemy's opponent's draft is a little bit too tanky, and so Bard is a really good champion to engage on their front lines. That's actually a bit benefits for us. So the next question will be it's a little bit memey since you guys have already finished this spring, this glorious spring. So fans are starting to say we can make our theme song up to this world. It's like so do you have any memes about that? Like any thoughts about that? Maybe like Ronnie, like Duke, like Lord. So well, just like joking, but have you ever expected or expectations for upcoming events like Worlds or Summer Split? 因为你们已经赢下来了这个非常好的一个成绩，而且这个春天呢也是很圆满的结束了，所以粉丝们也开始说，好像我们可以开始去写一下今年的世界赛主题曲了，红酒公爵这样子，也是对你的一个小小的这种表达爱意的方式嘛。那对于接下来的赛事，比如说夏季赛，比如说世界赛，有什么样的一个展望呢？
夏季赛的话，是因为我们春季赛已经打了一个很好的底子嘛，我们有积分嘛，所以说夏季赛的目标肯定是进世界赛。然后如果进了世界赛之后，因为我们 LPL 已经2连冠了嘛，所以说只要能进世界赛的中国队，应该都是想着能拿冠军的吧。
Yeah, so we already took down this spring championship, so we got points for the Worlds and. For Summer Split, of course, our goal of Summer Split is going to Worlds, and LPL has already two champion for the Worlds. So definitely, the LPL teams want a 3 winning streak at Worlds. That's my goal for this year's Worlds. And the last question will be: there are so many foreign fans keep watching your games till now. So any words for the fans that keep supporting you? 就是很多的海外粉丝一直坚守看着比赛到现在，所以有没有什么想对海外的粉丝说的话呢？
因为现在是晚上了嘛，所以说有时差的话，可能在海外都是比较早嘛，然后就很感谢各位粉丝能够就是牺牲睡眠的时间来看我们的比赛，就很感谢你们。
So it's very late right now. I believe it's morning because of the jet lags. So it might be morning for the foreign fans. I'm very grateful to the fans that keep watching our games and supporting us. Yeah, that's so much for today's interview. And thank you, Zoom, for joining us. And take it back to you guys. Thank you.
What a high-class interview. Thank you very much, Zoom, and thank you very much, Iris, for translating as well. What a win in the end for JDG, and strong words there with 4 slots for the LPL moving on towards Worlds. They've got 60 championship points. JDG already have a foot in the door when it comes to making it to that World Championship.
And you can see that is what they have in mind. And I think tonight it's screw the wine, it's champagne for these guys. Definitely celebration is in order. And I think well played. Ooh, maybe, but well played by these guys. And I think overall they can be incredibly happy with their performance.
Yes.
Their growth from last split as well has been night and day, and they have well deserved this
last split, they didn't even make playoffs.
No!
Then they come in spring, they win the whole thing. And I want to give us an extra shout out as well, once again, to Lumao. He's going to be the MVP for game number 5 and for the entire series as well. The man's a monster. His Bard pick is insane, but not just the Bard in game 5. The entire series, he looked exceptional.
And he's been on JDG since the very beginning, back in 2017. And now he has been rewarded. Finals MVP for Lumao, and with the Bard pick as well. The setup that exactly JDG needed. Well played.
Yeah, beautifully done from Lumao. And we have to mention it, Top Esports, unfortunately, they were 2-1 up. They go down in the end. And that's a heartbreaking defeat, especially for Knight. He's going to fall short of the final hurdle once again. Jackie Love doesn't quite live up to his reputation.
No, but we put it down here coming in here today that there's so little that separates these two teams, and I think we saw that in our series. It is heartbreak though for Top Esports, who once again will be sent back, but climbing ever higher in the ranks. You saw at our beginning segment all those hours ago where they've started 6th, they get to 4th, they get to 3rd, now to 2nd. It feels almost inevitable before they can make that run for the top place spot.
Could be summer. I mean, Jackie Love had a big impact over the course of 1 month. Let's see how much of an impact he can have over half of a year. But let's not talk about Top Esports. I'm sure that they've had enough for today. But on the other side for JDG, let's talk about the Dumpling Brothers here. Let's talk about Kanavi, because we've been talking a lot about the bottom lane. Zoom came in, looked amazing here today. His Gangplank, obviously, in the final game, kind of bringing out the signature pick, even though for this split, it's really been about Ornn for him, but coming in with the Gangplank, something kind of harkening back to older times.
Well, I mean, that was the pick that they used to defeat FPX in years gone by, and now we get to see it again today in game number 3. But, of course, coming into game number 4, the Ornn was such a magnificent pick for him. Really was the big engage tool that they needed to set up, and I was curious to see how he would perform. Not so much guessing his capabilities on this champion, it was more so looking towards how does he try and maneuver around this Braum pick. The same with Loken, this Braum would have shut down the Misfortune bullet time, but with that Lumao ultimate being able to set up for the engages, Kanavi on this Rek'Sai as well, finding success not only in the early game, in the mid game, and in these team fights that were so crucial across the board. The entire team stepped.
Yagao on the Kassadin as well. We know Yagao for this LeBlanc, and honestly, the way he played Kassadin in those mid-game fights felt like a LeBlanc, because he was not waiting to scale up, waiting to get items to get involved. As soon as those Tempered Fates came through, he was in there alongside Kanavi on this Rek'Sai, making sure that they could take someone out before the Tempered Fate ended.
And JDG did an amazing job of setting up this Kassadin pick for success. Yagao was popped into a side lane nice and early. Lyric talked about on the desk this 1-3-1 that they opted for nice and early. Well, that was because there was no objectives on the map. They had the teleport advantage. They were able to funnel so many resources into Yagao. And it wasn't so much that Yagao needed to kill people in fights. It was the threat. It was trying to position himself to always put pressure onto Jackie Love so this Aphelios can't approach the fights. And it becomes very difficult as this Aphelios then to try and get into fights because you're trying to deal with this bullet time from Misfortune. Yagao is always going to be on your side. And as well, you've got the engage coming through from Zoom. It just felt like Jackie Love had no way in these fights. And with Knight on this Silas, wasn't able to have the impact in the early game. He was only getting back onto his footing come that mid-game, but it was all bruisers in the front line. Tanks. You needed that damage from Jackie Love, and it wasn't there for Top.
That was sort of a similar story to game number 4 as well, where we kept on saying that Top Esports kind of needed to play this almost protect the president style, where everyone groups around Jackie Love and tries to keep him alive. That style works even worse if you're against Bard, because your players just cease to exist for 3 seconds during the fight. So suddenly he finds himself completely alone, gets taken on down, and ultimately, I want to give another shout out to Kanavi, because Kanavi versus Karsa in this matchup, honestly, it didn't go as one-sided as I expected. With the way that Kanavi looked during this split, during playoffs as well, he really has looked like one of, if not the best jungler in the league. Karsa definitely gave him a run for his money during this series, but when it came down to it, in those clutch moments, it felt like it was Kanavi that was coming out on top more often than not.
And don't forget, Kanavi's new blood. Like, yes, he played a little bit on JDG in 2018, but this is really the first time we've seen him start on this roster. And for him to show up like he did in that Game 5 just shows nerves of steel.
He came onto this roster first off as a loan. That loan finally gets finalized, and then suddenly he comes into the LPL and wins the whole damn thing. It's just like, what a way to make an entrance.
And you can see that Kanavi's playing with ambition, because he came onto this team not only just saying, hey, look, well, I like these 4 other guys. I think they will fit towards me. But the rest of the team said, hey, look, we're fine to play towards Kanavi. Zoom Yagao, they're going to start invading with them. They're going to set him up for success. They're going to forego their own lanes to get Kanavi ahead. And even though in that Game 5 it was Kanavi setting up the rest of the team for success, ganking towards Zoom, getting a couple of kills, it was still Kanavi that set the ball rolling, and why we were highlighting him as the secret sauce for success of this JDG roster.
And that's one of the things that I really love the most about this JDG team, is that they don't play quite the same as all the other teams. It's not about trying to get the top laner fed. It's not necessarily about trying to get the mid laner fed. While they often play around the top side of the map, it's usually Kanavi that they're trying to get fed. Kanavi is often the carry from the jungle, and while we saw less of that in this series, that's kind of been the story there. And it's great that we did see a little bit less than that of that in this series, because it shows the different styles they can play.
But isn't that how greats are made? It's you take your style and you just play it to perfection. That's what we saw with IG in 2018 when they were in Worlds. This solo lane domination. We saw with FPX in 2019, playing through side lanes, these 4v2 dives, they were renowned for them. And now we see JDG, their own unique brand, their unique style of League of Legends. And once again, they have once penned their name in the LPL. They will look to do it twice in summer, and they will look to solidify that at the World Championship.
They certainly shall. And as I said before, they're eschewing now for the World Championship. They've not penned their name in just yet, though. They will still need to get some points when it comes around to the summer. And obviously, MSI unfortunately cancelled, so they're not going to get to step onto the international stage just yet. They have to bide their time. But so long as they get sort of top 3, top 4, with first place being an auto-qualified spot for Worlds in summer, they only need to be in the upper echelons of the LPL to make it to that World Championship.
And I mean, that is what their eyes are firmly locked on right now, especially after a performance like this, where they came in, they were able to take down former world champions in FPX. They were able to take down top esports, which looked like, for part of this series, they were going to be the thorn in their sides. Yeah. Jackie Love once again rearing his head. The nightmare from the past that they have not been able to defeat, but they take them down here today, and in such commanding fashion. It was in such dramatic style. I am so excited to see what JDG can do.
Man, I mean, what a final. We got 5 games. We had an insane final game as well. And I think the thing about that final game that I enjoyed the most was that the last 2 fights were decisive fights. It wasn't back and forth. It was JDG putting their foot down and saying, this is our final. This is our trophy. This is our LPL.
Decisive fights. That decisive end-game call. Teleport bot lane. Shove the Nexus. Yeah. Everyone on top be damned. We're going to finish this game. And I wasn't certain they could do it. Those health bars were dwindling. That Nexus was getting low, but not quite fast enough.
Isn't that how this entire series was played, though? Yeah. When you think about the Baron calls from both teams, like, it was on a knife's edge. Both of these teams, even though JDG, you know, we kind of described them coming in today as this very careful, like, very cognizant, the smartest team in the LPL, and I stand by those statements generally speaking. But when it comes to the high pressure situations, they're not afraid to make a slightly controversial call. They're not afraid to take some risks and try and take some names alongside that risk.
And that's exactly what they did, and now they've written their names in the greats of the LPL, and I want to see if they can now continue this forward, because it doesn't feel like this unique style has been figured out at all. People don't really know how to deal with Kanavi when he's invading and you've got the support of the Dumpling Brothers there. They don't really know how to deal with Loken and Lu Mao, who stepped up massively in this series to take over that bottom lane against Jackie Love, a former world champion, a person that you look towards to be one of the most dominant AD carries in our league. They had no problem swiping him aside and pushing towards multiple kills in that bottom lane.
And I think especially when you look towards Loken, I don't think there were that many great expectations of Loken coming into today. I don't think many people at home were looking at JDG and saying, Loken is the carry here, he's the X factor of this team, because realistically, he's not been that kind of player in the past. I mean, he was on top Esports in 2019. When you're the AD carry in top Esports, you're almost certainly going to fall down in priority tonight in the mid lane, right? So when you've got that reputation, coming in, having such a great performance in the finals, just magnificent to see. And on the other side of the board as well, for top Esports, I was really impressed by 369 in this series, because he was one of the big question marks, especially up against Zoom, on how he performed. I think he performed exceptionally well.
Yeah, and I want to go back to Loken though, because it feels like we're bringing him back towards this high status that we expected from him when he started. When he joined on ESC Ever way back in the day, he won IEM Shanghai in 2017. That was in his first year. And many others had such high expectations for him. And now, once again, he's rising to the creme de la creme of the AD carries in the LPL.
Well, we've got an absolute treat here today, because we have an extra interview for you guys at home. We've got Loken and Kanavi standing by, so I'm going to kick it back over to Iris once again to find out what they're going to say.
Hi guys, it's me again, Iris here, and joining by Kanavi and Loken from JDG. Please say hello to our audience before. Well, first of all, 인사 부탁드려요.
Hello, I am JD Jungler Kanavi.
Hello, I am JDG the AD local.
갑자기 중국어로. Well, thank you guys for joining us. So the first question will be, how do you feel after such an intense best of 5? 네, 이번 일단 우승 축하드려요. 지금 기분이 어떠세요?
지금 첫 우승인데 되게 좋은 것 같아요.
일단 첫 우승이라서 너무 좋고, 솔직히 막 엄청 못한 것 같지도 않아서 더 기분 좋아요.
So first of all, it's our first champion, so I'm really happy, really excited. And for Loken, that's it's so excited to have our first championship in LPL. Though I'm still a little bit tired, but I'm so happy. The second question will be, is there anything or any period that they feel really hard during the whole spring split? So 지금 우승했는데 혹시 그 스프링 시즌 동안 가장 어려울 때 있으세요?
방금 그 세 번째 판 지고 나서 제일 힘들었던 것 같아요.
네, 덕현 선수는요?
저는 그 3연패인가 했을 때가 솔직히 제일 힘들었어요.
So Kanavi says that after the third game of today's best of 5, it was really, really hard. I thought I was gonna die. So about Loken, he said that I thought it was about our losing streak. That was really bad time for me. So the last question will be, today will be a very, very memorable moment for them. So any ways to celebrate for their victory? So 오늘 혹시 회식이 있으세요? 세레모니 있으세요?
아마도 사장님이 오셔서 회식할 것 같아요.
네, 로켓 선수는요?
그냥 아마 사장님이 오셔서 이제 같이 밥 먹기로 했는데 뭐 맛있는 거 먹으러 가지 않을까요?
노래방 안 가세요?
노래방 보이지 않을까요?
저는 잘 모르겠어요.
Because our boss came here today, so I think there will be so we would have a meal together. For the other celebrations, we still don't have any plans yet. So that's so much for the interview. Sorry, but I'm so nervous right here. Back to you guys.
Kamsahamnida, guys. Great to have a little bit of a Korean interview splashed in there as well. Thank you very much, Iris, and thank you very much, Kanavi and Loken, for sticking with us and giving us a few words. I'm glad they're going to go for a meal afterwards, maybe a high-class celebration on their win.
I think it's well-deserved from the guys, and fantastic performances from both Loken, Kanavi, Zoom, Lumeo. The entire roster has really stepped up here, and it's incredible to see, as we said, JDG really coming into their own in this spring 2020, and I have such high hopes for them coming into summer.
I can't wait to see what is up their sleeves when it comes to summer, whether they're going to be able to make it to the World Championship. I reckon they're probably going to. Top Esports as well, we'll see what they've got left in the tank, but that's going to be it for us here today. That's going to be it for us in the 2020 Spring Split for the LPL. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you from our casters, from the production crew, from everyone here. Make sure you tune in summer. We'll see you guys there.